Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again today. I'm back underneath my 2010 Toyota FJ Cruiser because I've got one more big job to do under here. I've still got this big exposed area right here. This is my transmission pan. This is my oil pan. And we can't have these hanging out here like this because they're definitely gonna get hit by a rock if I don't protect them. So I went down to my local steel supplier and I asked them for a skid plate for a 2010 Toyota FJ Cruiser that's been solid axle swapped, made of 3/16 inch steel. And they gave me this right here. Look at that. Prefabricated and everything. In case you need one, they've got them. All right, you know that's actually not true. But I did go and pick up a piece of 3/16 inch plate, and then I cut it to the size that I needed, or roughly the size I needed, and then took it to another place, and they put these nice bends in it for me, so it makes a really strong foundation for a skid plate. So the idea here is that this is going to line up nicely with my existing transfer case skid that's in there. That's going to sit in here, and then this will cover the rest of the transmission pan, and then up here, my oil pan. Now I'm gonna have to do some trimming on this, make sure I've got a length that I like total, and then I'm gonna have to do some cutting and altering up here to fit the oil pan. So the idea is that it's going to look kind of like this. Here's the transmission pan, transfer case is back here, and then the oil pan is up there. But as you can see, the oil pan doesn't quite fit in here. I mentioned in a previous video that the oil pan is actually offset quite a bit to the passenger side in relation to the more centered transmission pan. So some modification to fit the oil pan is going to be necessary. Also, you can see it's a little bit long right now. Axle's right here. This is sticking out probably a little bit too far, and I've got plenty back there. So I'm gonna first thing I'm gonna do is shorten this, and then I'll start modifying for the oil pan. So I'm gonna start by knocking 4 inches off of this thing. So this is about where I want the skid plate to be, and I'm going to have to make this cutout for the oil pan here. So that's what I mean by a cutout, and then I'll just make a little extension right here to cover this tiny bit of the oil pan that's exposed, and then it still won't be in the way of my upper front link here. So that should work out pretty darn well. So as for connecting this skid plate to this skid plate, I've made up a couple brackets right here and over here. And so what's going to happen is that there's going to be 2 holes in here, and then 2 holes in here, and there'll be bolts through here. So 4 bolts back here holding the skid plate to this skid plate. I've got my brackets up here with the holes drilled that they need. I took those brackets over to the drill press to drill them on the drill press. I took those brackets over to the drill press to drill them because drilling under the vehicle by hand is a lot harder. So now I'm going to create this little skid extension for the oil pan. I'm going to have it stick out 3 inches, and I'm just going to put some metal right in here, out 3 inches. Pretty simple. All right, so I've got it bolted up under the vehicle. Everything looks really fantastic. There's my oil pan extension cover right there. Turned out pretty well, should do a good job. So the only problem remaining now with this skid plate is that there's nothing really supporting it up here on the front. It's just bolted on back here. So we need something up here to support this front part. And what that's going to be is some tubing that's going to go from the front here up to the frame up there. And the same thing over here up to there. The tricky part is that it can't interfere with this upper link, and it can't interfere with anything over there either. So it's going to have to be, it's going to have to come off of here and then come up here and have some bend to it. So for that front support, I'm going to be using this 1.5 outside diameter 1/4 inch wall DOM tubing. And it's got to be disconnectable. So I've got these connectors from Ballistic Fabrication. It'll weld in to some point in the middle of the tubing. And then it locks together like this. And then there's actually 2 bolts that go into it. One there and one there, and then more tube will weld onto this side, and that way I can have a disconnect inside within the tubing. So I've got to get this tube to the guy that bends tube, which isn't me because I don't have a tube bender here at my house. So I'm going to have to take some measurements, take it to him, have him do the bends, and then bring it back here and then hope that it fits. So if you have a lot of things shipped to you, not from Amazon, then you know that shipping costs right now are pretty high. So for my last order from Ballistic Fabrication, rather than paying shipping to push my order over their threshold for free shipping, I got these pieces of billet steel. These are going to go in the ends of my bumper. So while I'm waiting for that tubing to get bent, in the meantime, I'm going to redo the tips of my bumper because they're not too great. I mean, they don't look terrible, and I could use them, but I think having those ends on there will look even better. All right, there we go. I think that these just look a little bit more polished than the other version. And like I was saying, I basically got these for free because I got free shipping with those, and those cost less than the shipping from Ballistic, so good deal. So after I get this tubing bent and installed on the front skid plate, the only other major operation that needs to happen on the FJ for this entire project is getting this steering hooked up. That's going to be a pretty big undertaking, but I plan on tackling that this week. And yeah, after that it's just little stuff getting buttoned up. So getting there. Thanks as always for joining me, guys, and make sure you like and subscribe and share and comment and all that. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. So please do all those things. Yeah, other than that, we will see you on Thursday.